Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. The budget session of Parliament will commence from the 31st of January with President Draupadi Murmu addressing the joint sitting of both houses. The economic survey will then be tabled after the President's address. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget on the 1st of February, the last full budget of the Modi government ahead of the 2024 general elections. The first part of the budget session will see a detailed discussion on the motion of thanks to the President's address, followed by both houses then discussing the Union Budget. The first part of the session will go on till 13th February, after which there will be a recess till 12th March. The Parliament will then reconvene for the second part of the session on 13th March and continue till the 6th of April. The key expectations from the budget that will have 27 sittings spread across 66 days is what we will talk about on the program today. Delighted to have with us on the program Mr. Sujit Kumar, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. He represents the BJD. And joining us virtually are three distinguished panelists as well. Mr. K.V. Prasad, Senior Journalist. Mr. Shantanu Sen, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. He represents the All India Trinamool Congress. And Mr. Naresh Bansal, he's Member Rajya Sabha from the BJP, the ruling party. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the program today. Mr. Prasad, let me begin the program today with you, and for the benefit of us and our viewers, if you could help us understand what, according to you, will the President touch upon in her first address, the first joint sitting that she is going to address tomorrow. What do you think are the key achievements that she is likely to highlight of this ruling government?
Well, this is an opportunity where the President of India would tell how the government of the day has performed in the last few years in particular, and give the roadmap of the government policies and programs in the coming year. Since the financial year will start on April 1st, and also unveil a program which the policies of the government will be shown very clearly, the roadmap and the path. So that's where it contains. It's the government's address actually, and the Honorable President does read it for the benefit of the members of Parliament. So it's the government's vision which is translated into the President's speech that comes out very clearly. And then, of course, as you clearly mentioned, the rest of the budget session begins with the most important, which actually in Constitution, it's known as the financial statement of the government.
Absolutely. I think all eyes and all expectations now from the Union Budget. Mr. Bansal, ये आपकी सरकार का आखिरी फुल बजट होने वाला है. अगला चुनाव है क्योंकि तो उसके बाद वोट ऑन अकाउंट होगा. क्या उम्मीदें हैं? फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर का ये 5वां स्टेट बजट होगा जो वो प्रेजेंट करेंगी, कि कौन-कौन से एरियाज पर ज्यादा फोकस रहेगा आपकी सरकार का?
निश्चित रूप से सरकार का फोकस रहेगा, लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिले, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़े, देश के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट आए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत की ओर जो हम बढ़ रहे हैं, आत्मनिर्भर भारत का पॉलिसी लेकर के प्रधानमंत्री जी की, उस सबका विजन माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण में होगा. जो हमारी सरकार की सफलताएं हैं, काम हैं, जो जनता के बीच में जा रहे हैं, उस सबको लेकर के माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी का अभिभाषण होगा. और पूरी तरह से वो एक मोदी जी की सरकार का एक रिफ्लेक्शन होगा कि किस प्रकार से ये सरकार सबकी समावेशी सरकार है. ये सरकार गरीबों की सरकार है, वंचितों की सरकार है, किसानों की सरकार है, नौजवानों की सरकार है. हर फील्ड में जो सरकार ने देश के नाम को ऊंचा करने का काम किया है, चाहे वो आज विदेशों के अंदर हो, G20 की हम अध्यक्षता कर रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर भी इसमें कुछ ना कुछ आएगा. SOC की हमने अध्यक्षता की है, और डिफेंस के क्षेत्र में हमने अभी नई पनडुब्बी लॉन्च की है, राइफल्स का जिस प्रकार से आगमन हुआ. तो सारी चीजें मिलाकर के आएंगे, और भविष्य में क्या करने वाले हैं उसका भी एक रोड मैप इसमें होगा.
Sure. Okay. Mr. Sen, so this was what the ruling party is going to do. It's going to highlight its achievements over the last couple of years, also set a roadmap for what it is going to do in the future. What is going to be the strategy of your party, and particularly if I could also, understand from the point of view of the larger opposition camp, what do you think is going to be the agenda of the opposition parties of the Trinamool Congress going into the budget session this year?
See, first of all, it has become a customary that our learned President of India will be reading out the speech prepared by the government run by the ruling party in the central. Secondly, I don't wonder if I see a budget which substantiates some demands pertaining to the states which are having elections in the coming months, coming year, in this year. Because it is our experience that we have seen in the past. Whenever a budget has been passed in the House, it was related to the politics, it was related to the elections that are going to take place in the states. And my previous speaker was talking about employment generation. Let me remind you, there was a promise of 2 crores of jobs per year. There would have been at least 16 crores of new jobs. On the contrary, we have seen hardly there was less than 1 lakh jobs per year. They were talking about the budget for the poor. You can very well understand the present economic scenario. I don't wonder if I can see few more privatizations. We have seen in the last few days what has happened with LIC. I don't wonder if I see some more privatizations in some PSU sectors. But on the contrary, if you ask what the true budget should be, a true budget should be pro-people, a true budget should be for the poor people at large, a true budget should be farmer-friendly, a true budget should be industry-friendly. But unfortunately, I am sure this time once again we are going to see a budget which will be related to the elections that are going to take place in few states in the coming few months.
Okay. So not just elections, Mr. Kumar, but also looking at the fiscal reality. What actually can the finance minister promise is something that we'll all have to wait and watch for, especially 2 more days to see what she promises. But if I try and understand from you your agenda, the issues that your party is going to prioritize, it's an important session going forth. It's the last one, as I said, the last full budget of this government. So expectations, number one, and then the issues that your party is going to prioritize.
Tomorrow, Honorable President will articulate, as is customary, the achievements of the government of the day and also lay out a roadmap for the future based on the government's priorities.
Right.
So while complimenting the government on a few achievements like the presidency of G20, digitization of health records and various other schemes which has enabled the beneficiaries to get direct payments, focus on startups, focus on capital expenditure. These have been some of the praiseworthy initiatives of the government. My party also has a couple of concerns. The key being, that the Women Reservation Bill has been pending in the Parliament for a very long time. My Chief Minister has written many times to the Government of India to get the bill passed in the Parliament. Issues of tribal inclusion. There are 169 tribal communities from Odisha which are yet to be included in the ST list, despite repeated reminders from the state. The Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was, I think, a good initiative by the Modi government during the COVID time, that has been discontinued for God knows for what reason. Because the name itself, Garib Kalyan Yojana, does it mean that Garibi has been eliminated in this country? Today, still we have 22% of people below poverty line. And these are Government of India data. So when you still have so much of poverty, when the post-COVID recovery is not yet complete, what was the need to discontinue this good yojana? So there are Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. We had requested for close to 12 lakh additional houses for the rural folk in Odisha. We got only 8 lakh, which means 4 to 5 lakh people are still deprived of Pakka houses. So there are many schemes that my party would be raking up in the 2 houses. And as far as the budget goes, every budget is important, but in my view, this budget is particularly crucial because, as you mentioned, Tinaji, this is the last full budget before the general elections, and also this is the first full budget after the COVID recovery. And also because we have the G20 presidency and we are looking at a $5 trillion economy by 2025. So my view would be that Honorable Finance Minister should focus on education, on health. Last budget focused on capital expenditure and investment, which should continue, on infrastructure. Last budget was also very focused on technology-driven initiatives, which was laudworthy. So, but I would definitely want to see at least 6% of our GDP being spent on education, as was recommended by the Kothari Commission way back in the 60s. Hasn't happened yet. Defense budget is something which I would really want to see go up to 3% of the GDP, which has been recommended by the standing committees.
Absolutely. You know, we did a series on sector-specific expectations as well on Sansad TV. And Mr. Prasad, every sector wants to see a significant increase in allocation. What really can the finance minister promise is something that we'll have to wait till at least the 1st of February. But what do you think, looking at the government's way of working, looking at the kind of thrust that the government has put towards certain areas, what do you think will be the focus areas this time around as well for the government? Because 2 very, very difficult years after COVID, and now it's obvious that every sector wants to have the right share, the fair share of allocation.
Well, that's natural. The fact remains, as you said, this is the second year post-COVID, and economy is, as all indications we have told, is back on tracks and it's chugging along. So if you want higher growth, obviously this is the time to consolidate that achievement. Plus, there are competing demands, as honorable MPs have already pointed out. We have welfare. We are a welfare government, so the welfare schemes need the allocations too. So you have to balance the budget because you have only so much in the kitty, and the pie has to be divided according to the requirements. So that is where the real skill of a finance minister comes into play, where you don't compromise on the impetus that is required for growth and growth-related spending. At the same time, sure the classes are provided the facilities and the benefits from the welfare schemes of the government. So this is where the balancing looks at, and we should not forget, financial discipline and fiscal prudence is something that everybody is juggling around.
Certainly.
We always, economists tell us. So I think this is that's what will happen as we look at it.
मिस्टर बंसल, इसको इलेक्शन बजट भी कहा जा रहा है. क्या आपकी पार्टी ये मानती है कि इलेक्शन बजट है और इसलिए जिन राज्यों में खास करके चुनाव होंगे उन राज्यों के लिए हो सकता है कि कुछ एक्स्ट्रा अनाउंसमेंट्स किए जाएं, या फिर जैसा कि मोदी सरकार का हमेशा से ही एक फोकस रहा है कि हम सबको साथ लेके चलेंगे, इंक्लूसिव बजट होगा, उस तरह का होगा? किस तरह की उम्मीद है?
निश्चित रूप से इंक्लूसिव बजट होगा. मोदी सरकार का प्रारंभ से ही है कि मोदी सरकार का बजट सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास, इस पैराफेरी में पूरा का पूरा बजट होगा. हर सेक्शन को उसमें देखा जाएगा. वो शिक्षा का क्षेत्र हो, स्वास्थ्य का क्षेत्र हो, वृद्धों का मामला हो, सैनिकों का मामला हो, जवानों का मामला हो, किसानों का मामला हो, व्यापारियों का मामला हो, हर एक के बारे में इस पर विचार किया जाएगा. ये पूरा कंसोलिडेटेड इंक्लूसिव बजट होगा. चुनाव आते हैं, जाते हैं, लेकिन देश चलता रहना चाहिए, ये मोदी जी का कंसेप्ट है. और देश के साथ किसी भी प्रकार का खिलवाड़ नहीं होने दिया जाएगा. देश की चतुर्मुखी विकास हो, उसको ध्यान में रख के हमारी वित्त मंत्री जी ये बजट लेकर के आएंगे. मैं आपको आश्वस्त करता हूं कि ये चुनावी बजट नहीं, देश के विकास को ऊंचाई देने वाला बजट होगा. जिसको हमारा लक्ष्य है 2025 तक 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी, वो कैसे प्राप्त हो सकती है, इस बजट से वो पता लगेगा. हमारा विनिर्माण क्षेत्र किस प्रकार बढ़ सकता है, रोजगार किस प्रकार बढ़ सकते हैं, और स्टार्टअप कैसे बढ़ सकते हैं, आत्मनिर्भर भारत की ओर कैसे बढ़ सकते हैं, डिफेंस के क्षेत्र में हम एक्सपोर्टर और अधिक कैसे हो सकते हैं,
इसमें महिलाओं की भूमिका को कैसे बढ़ाएंगे बंसल साहब? मिस्टर कुमार ने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही है. विमेंस कोटा इनकी पार्टी एक मुद्दा है जिसको आगे लेकर आएगी इस सेशन में भी. विमेंस कोटा, विमेंस रिजर्वेशन बिल पर ऑलमोस्ट हर पार्टी का एक ही मत है, लेकिन बिल किन्हीं कारणों से कभी पास नहीं हो पाता है. इतने दशकों से हम ये बात कर रहे हैं कि विमेंस रिजर्वेशन बिल पार्लियामेंट में आएगा, पर नहीं आ पाया है. आगे आने वाले समय में क्या उम्मीद है? जिस तरह से आपकी पार्टी ने नारी शक्ति पर काफ़ी फोकस किया है, गणतंत्र दिवस के परेड में भी हमने देखा कि नारी शक्ति एक उभर कर एक पहलू आया सामने. तो क्या आने वाले समय में या आने वाले बजट में महिलाओं की भूमिका को लेकर कुछ स्पेशल अनाउंसमेंट की उम्मीद कर सकते हैं हम लोग?
निश्चित रूप से मोदी जी की सरकार में आज सबसे अधिक महिला मंत्री हैं. महिला सशक्तिकरण में मोदी जी का बड़ा फोकस रहा है. उनका मानना भी है कि बिना महिलाओं को सशक्त किए देश आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता. और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का तो पहले से ही है. एकमात्र राजनीतिक दल भारतीय जनता पार्टी है जिसने 2006 में अपने पॉलिटिकल जो पार्टी का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उसमें अमेंडमेंट करके महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण संगठन के अंदर दिया. और सरकारों के लिए भी हमने लाने का प्रयास किया, लेकिन किसी न किसी कारण से हमारे विपक्षी दल उसको होने नहीं देते. मैं चाहता हूं कि सारे विपक्षी दल बैठ करके एक सहमति बनाए सरकार के साथ, सरकार और विपक्षी दल मिलकर सहमत होकर के जो महिला आरक्षण लोकसभा और विधानसभा में होना चाहिए उसका बिल पास हो, हम सब इसके पक्ष में हैं।
Mr. Sen, what are your thoughts on increased participation of women in parliament? It's been overwhelming to see more women leaders speak on matters of importance. But what is the Trinamool Congress's take on more and more tickets, especially in the general elections, to women leaders who can win elections and then come and sit in parliament and rake up issues of public importance?
Trinamool Congress is the only party in the country where 50% reservation for the women is being followed in grassroots elections, that is in panchayat elections. So in panchayat elections, 50% seats are reserved for women. There is no other political party in the country which can talk about this. We have been demanding for this women reservation bill. We have been asking for this bill to be passed in the parliament. When this parliament, when this government is master in bulldozing so many bills in fraction of seconds without giving any importance to the views of the oppositions, they are still hesitating to bring this bill of women reservation in the parliament. My learned previous speaker was talking about defense. We have seen what has been promised in the name of Agniveer and Agnipath. Some BJP leaders are telling that after 4 years of job, they will be recruited as the gatekeepers of BJP party office. We have seen what has happened with the farmers of the country. We have seen the budgetary allocation for health is even worse than that of the neighboring country like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. We have seen in the name of National Education Policy 2020 how the education system has been saffronized in our country. We have seen in the field of employment generation, in the field of industry, the government is in a mode to privatize. And that day is not very far. If this thing continues, India will be having hardly any official government body, government institution, and everything will be privatized. My suggestion to this government will be, we are having a population of nearly 140 crores. Please give special importance to the health. Please give special importance to the education. Please give special importance to the farmers. Please give special importance to the daily wages. And please give special importance to the profit-making PSUs. And for God's sake, do not privatize each and every PSU like as you have been doing since last few years. We have seen what has happened with LIC. Recently, we have gone through some report related to one leading industrialist of the country. And everyone is afraid of that. What is going to happen with the common people? What is going to happen with the interest rate? You have seen the interest rate is increasing like anything. If you want to borrow something, you have to give a huge amount of interest. So the people are crying. My suggestion to my government will be, please take care of the common people at large and please give some more tax relaxation to the middle class of Indian citizens. That is of utmost importance.
Clearly, that's something that the common man is also looking up to, Mr. Prasad. But given the challenges, the external pressures, there's no doubt the Indian economy is very well positioned compared to other developing economies. But the fact is, all of these external factors do persist. These external pressures continue in this time as well as we speak. And therefore, how much scope, how much fiscal window is there for the finance minister to actually incorporate all of these expectations is something. I'll come back to that in just a bit. Mr. Sen wanted to add something. Mr. Sen, yes.
I just want to add one point that is very important point. Please do something because there is a skyrocketing of the prices of the daily essential commodities. Household gas is 1100 rupees. Petrol, diesel has crossed 100 rupees. Please do something so that common people can eat and live in peace.
Sure, sure. So, Mr. Sen, these are expectations that a lot of people from the sector, the common man has also hoped that the government will do something about it in terms of taxation, in terms of bringing down prices. But Mr. Prasad, how much scope is there for actually the finance minister to incorporate all of these expectations that different sectors and particularly the common man has from the finance minister?
Well, that is the challenge, as I said in the program earlier too. The challenge is obviously the competing demands, the
Yes.
demands which come across the sectors, demands which come across the expectations, the soaring expectations of people. They want relief, as members of the panel have already indicated. People are looking for relief from the government across sectors. The poor, the middle class, every class looking for things. We are still not done with what's the effect of the Ukraine war. Right now, every country in the world is facing this, and this is a crisis that is going to face and stare everybody. Despite the fact that Indian economy has done better than most economies, everybody in the world is still concerned as to which way the war will go. And one of the immediate impacts has been the energy bills. Every country is paying very high cost to procure energy, and India is oil-dependent country. Of course, we have sourced it largely from Russia for our benefit, but that is one thing which, how do you run the economy on energy? And that's one of the issues that everybody is facing. Yet, that challenge before the government of the day and the finance minister is to ensure a growth, as I mentioned, ensuring that the momentum of growth is not receding or not slowing down.
Yes.
Number two, making sure of the welfare measures, how to keep the the pot boiling for ensuring everybody has 2 square meals a day.
Mr. Kumar, amid these challenges, the world today is looking at India because we've taken over the G20 precedence. You mentioned earlier on as well in your first answer. The question now is, it's a huge responsibility for us, and therefore we all need to work together. How can we keep aside our differences and work together towards ensuring better outcomes for India, for all the like-minded countries?
Before I answer this, Tina ji, I would like to correct my esteemed colleague, Dr. Sen. In fact, in Odisha also, we have 50% reservation for women in the 3-tier Panchayati Raj. And to state the fact, the late Biju Patnaik, after whom my party has been named, was the first, when he was the chief minister from 1990 until 95 in Odisha, he introduced 33% reservation for women way back in 1993. Was the first chief minister.
Absolutely, that's a welcome change at the grassroots level.
Right, so I just wanted to put this on record.
The kind of expectation we now have
Right.
is the same results and the same kind of representation of women in the assemblies and ultimately in the parliament.
Right,
Yes.
and I'll go to Mr. Bansal, again an esteemed colleague of mine. I just want to ask him what stops his party from introducing the bill in the Lok Sabha. They have Bahumat. They have like absolute majority in the Lok Sabha. So what stops them? So I mean, it's all nice and hunky-dory to say that, okay, we are for women reservation, and you know, in our party, all organizational posts, 1/3 has been reserved for women. But you have majority, Mr. Bansal. Why isn't your party introducing a bill for this in the Lok Sabha? And all parties have said on record that they will support this. So please introduce, please introduce this. We
That's
will all
our
welcome
hope
this.
as well. Let's see,
Right.
see something of that sort.
Right, and
from the
I
ruling
do
party.
second Mr. Prasad's statement that, because we have a limited pie. Now, how do you ensure that every sector gets the due? Because every sector wants more and more of that pie. I think there are two ways. One is to enlarge the pie. One is to enlarge the cake, right? So that is possible only when you expand the tax base. Today, only 5% of Indians pay income tax. So the tax revenue, of course, has increased over the years. But then, just imagine in a country of 140 crore, when we have so many millionaires, only 5% pay tax. So you need to widen the tax base. Second is to have fiscal prudence. You did mention about it. So, okay, I do agree. I do concede that because of COVID, our fiscal discipline has gone for a toss. But the FRBM Act very clearly stipulates that it has to be within 3%, the fiscal deficit. Today we are 6.9 or 6.2, so it has to be brought down. So I think these are the only two ways that you can, have more money on the table to distribute to different sectors. But I don't care where you get it from. I am really passionate about education, and I really feel that, as a country, we need to invest on education. There should not be any politics over it. I think every member of parliament from every party will agree that education is the foundation of a nation. So if you want to really become a Vishwaguru, which has been, said umpteen number of times by the current government, we need to invest on education, particularly on primary and secondary education.
And especially when a significant population is young.
Absolutely.
So education is something that you need to absolutely invest
just
more.
give me 30 seconds more, Tina. And healthcare, Dr. Sen spoke about healthcare. Absolutely. Again, 2.5% of GDP was to be spent on education. I think we are less than 1.5 today. So health and education, unless you invest in these two social welfare schemes, welfare sectors, you can't grow as a nation. And again, finally, I'll just say that, we are living in a tough neighborhood. We have two nations. China is behaving like a bully on our eastern front. Pakistan, of course, we have, and its behavior is known to all. So we need to also ramp up our spend on
the bottom line
defense.
is every sector is important. Defense,
Absolutely.
because we are surrounded by two hostile neighbors, education, healthcare, and the biggest challenge is our growing population. So limited resources, growing population, and huge expectations. Let's see how the finance minister is actually able to tackle these challenges and what kind of promises she will be able to make on behalf of the government in the upcoming budget, which she will present on the 1st of February. Let's all wait and see what areas, what sectors this government is going to prioritize. So with that, I'll have to wind up the program. Time runs out. Thank you once again to all my guests for joining me on this edition of Perspective, sharing your thoughts, your views with us and our viewers. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you same time tomorrow now. Take good care of yourselves. Keep watching Sunset TV.